Welcome back to the Racing Insiders on MAVTV, the greatest sports car show you'll find anywhere. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keene is in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Peter, how is it out there?
Well, a tough weekend this weekend at Mid-Ohio, Bill. I'll tell you, we had a dominant car, and then with a little bit of contact with 20 minutes to go, we end up, giving it all away, which is kind of sad. We had a good points day going, but we'll recover and head to Watkins Glen.
That's racing. Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Jim, how's it with you?
Yeah, no one wanted to win that GT race at Mid-Ohio. I think we got some good coverage on that. We have some great interviews. Utter chaos with a rain race developing in the middle at MX5 Cup. We got the interviews right here on the Racing Insiders. Bill?
A big show coming up, starting with Le Mans, Audi versus Toyota. We've got great insight from the Audi team and great pictures of the cars in action. We look at Super GT. We don't hear much about that in the United States, but we're going to take a look at it here on the Racing Insiders. We'll look at the Grand Am results. You just heard a little bit from Peter and Jim, and we've got Johnny O'Connell, who is going to be at the Road America round in NASCAR, the 2012 Pirelli World Challenge champion. And we've got MX5 Cup. You heard that from Jim. We've talked to some of the key people in MX5 Cup. A spectacular show. You'll love this. Stay tuned. Let's get rolling right now. Let's get right into the biggest sports car race of the year, the 90th running of the Le Mans 24-hour Classic in France. It's going to be a huge battle at the front of the line between Audi and Toyota. Let's hear what Audi has to say about this challenge from the people at Toyota.
Yes, it was really a fantastic race, and the result at the end was really great for all our team, because we really could show that we had a constantly strong performance. But I have to say our competitors have been very strong. Unfortunately, they had to retire their quicker car, but we know that they are there, and the challenge for Le Mans is big.
I think when we look at Le Mans and take the data from this race, you see that our Le Mans spec car was very fast in qualifying. Normally should have had pole position. And then in the race, I would say the tables maybe balanced a little bit more, and the Toyota number 7, which was also in Le Mans specification, was very quick and had a good fuel economy, and so the regulations worked pretty well for them in that area, so they were always able to stay in the fight to potentially win the race, but certainly to be on the podium. And I think that means that when we go to Le Mans, we've got to prepare very well, we've got to think very hard about our strategy, but that's something that Audi does, I would say, in its sleep. It prepares for Le Mans in its sleep.
That was after the Spa round in the World Endurance Championship, but they're already getting ready for the 24 Hours of Le Mans this weekend. Some say they're all year getting ready for the Le Mans 24. Jim, what do you think about this coming up this weekend?
I think we had some gamesmanship played. I had a friend on the ground at Spa this last weekend, show friend Rob Holland, with a radar gun. And it seems like both cars are capable of more speed when they want to show it. So, with that front row and then the flip-flop of that front row, I think we got some gamesmanship going on for rules. Le Mans should be very interesting. I do know that Toyota has drawn a lot of attention. They won 70-71. Last win in the GT1 car came in 1998, I believe. They're no newcomer to what it takes to win this race, not only on speed, but how to make sure they stay off the radar for this event as far as rules go.
Well, Jim, I got to tell you, I think that, everybody looks for that overall win and, they tout that, but the GTE battle is going to be epic this year with, Team Corvette that I'm biased for with Antonio Garcia and Westbrook. I love both those guys. And then, Dodge is bringing the Viper back. They get a full-on program. And, of course, you can't count out a Porsche or a Ferrari. I just think that GTE battle is going to be epic. And hopefully, Garcia or Westy can bring that home for Team Corvette.
So that was Le Mans. Let's go to something that we should be paying more attention to, the Super GT program in Japan, especially since they have this new relationship with DTM that's trying to get started also here in the United States. Third race, big race, GT500, the fast cars, GT300, the slower cars, and the overall winner was the GTR, the Nissan GTR, driven by Tsujio Matsuda and the Portuguese João Paulo de Oliveira. Maybe that's why we don't pay that much attention to it, but they got their first win of the year, closed the points gap at the top of the field. The GTRs are the fastest there. I love the look in the GT300 of the CRZ. That car, they bring it to the United States, but they have these huge tires. That's the big thing about Super GT, the big footprint of the tires, the aerodynamics. They don't have a lot of horsepower for a race car, but lightweight, big tires, and aerodynamics. These cars are fast.
The aerodynamics on these cars are like the DTM cars. No surprise, like we reported earlier, that they might be merging those two sets of rules before they come to the U.S. But the aero package on them is phenomenal. These are basically like a lightweight GT chassis with heavy aero and big engines. The racing is pretty phenomenal, very close quarters, and you kind of got to be an open wheel ace to drive this kind of car. It needs to go faster through the apex, not slower, is what some of the kids driving them that I've talked to, which reminds me of driving a Formula Atlantic or some kind of wing car.
Okay, let's get right on with the program here. The Racing Insider's big show this week. We've got coming up a secret story. We're going to hear from Peter, a special test that no one knows about that only Peter Keene is going to bring to us. We've got Johnny O'Connell, who's coming up, who's going to be running in the NASCAR race, Road America. And we've got more on the Grand Am results from Mid-Ohio. Big weekend. You've got to stay with us. Where else you going to go? This is the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. We'll be right back.
Let us know what you think about what the Racing Insiders have to say. Tell us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. Let's get right to MX5 Cup. Our resident godfather of MX5 Cup is Jim Daniels. He was around a first champion in the series. Jim, what about the racing this weekend at Mid-Ohio?
Never short on excitement in this series since day one. Got a chance to sit around with both Szymczak and Elliott Skeer, the winners from Saturday and Sunday. Chaotic race on Sunday with rain happening in the middle and people having to pit. Talk about scrambling. They don't do a lot of pit stops in MX5 Cup. But here's my interviews. Szymczak, dominating performance today at Mid-Ohio. Looks like it's going to be the Elliott Skeer and Christian show this year. Tell us about your race.
Oh, went great. You know, we started out on the right foot here at Mid-Ohio. You know, we had a good car right out of the box.
If you can overcome that DNF that you got at Laguna and get back on top of this points and win this championship, what would it mean to you? And as importantly, what's it going to mean to Allison and Aura, your team owners?
Yeah, you know, it's I think it's just going to take consistency. You know, I don't think it's as important to win races as it is to finish high and to keep your nose clean. So I think that's what we got to concentrate on first and foremost is finish races and finish high in the order if possible.
Well, this is shaping up to be quite interesting. As you know, the series has been dominated by a couple of teams for a lot of years. Is this Aura's time? Is this Alara Racing's time to be on top?
I truly hope it's our time. I think we're doing well so far, and if we can continue in this fashion, we should be able to win.
Well, Szymczak, winner today, dominated. Very difficult to do in this series. Congratulations again, bud. With Elliott Skeer, winner of round 2 at Mid-Ohio today, and treacherous conditions, downpour. So let's shift over to talk about the championship. I think basically you guys are even on wins and seconds, but he had a 16th at Laguna, and you had a 4th out there. So you're up 12 spots on him. You're first in points. You got 6 races at 4 tracks. You ride these points. You try to stay in contact with him on finishing position. What's your strategy here to finish out the season?
Yeah, well, with the rest of the season, it's still a long way to go. So we're obviously going to points race a little bit and the main thing is just the consistency. We're going to have to be up in the top 3, top 4 each race. I'm not going to throw it in on somebody in the middle of a turn 2 at Motorsport if it means finishing first instead of second. The main goal is just to keep Christian either directly in front of me or directly behind me. I do have to beat him a little bit in the races because it seems he has the edge in qualifying. So I'm going to have to make up those points. But results like today is exactly what we need, of just being right up front, no mistakes, and without any drops in this series. That's the key to winning in it.
Yes. These two young guys are ingrained in a huge battle. They've either gotten first or second every race, except both of them have one toss-out where Szymczak got a 16th on a mechanical and Skeer got 4th just because he got 4th. This is a championship to watch if you're a close quarters momentum car fan. Bill?
Peter Keene, I understand we have some exclusive stuff that we could bring back to the Racing Insiders audience that you found at a test session. Tell us about it.
Yeah, well, Bill, essentially Spirit of Daytona got to do a private test at Savannah before Detroit, and we built a second car, and the car's going to Sonny Whelan ultimately, but before that it gets shipped over to Goodwood, and it's going to run up at the Goodwood Speed Festival, and Sonny Whelan and Nick Woodman, the president and founder of GoPro, and Ricky Taylor get to drive it up the hill. So before that, they got to do a little test session at Savannah, do a little shakedown. Everybody was happy as could be. Nick Woodman was excited as heck, and I think he's looking at trying to do a limited schedule in 2014 in a Daytona prototype, probably the endurance series part of it. And then, again, Sonny was real happy. He gets the car after it comes back from Goodwood, and it was just, a good time, laid back test session up there at Savannah for the Spirit of Daytona and the second GoPro Corvette.
Thanks, guys. That's a breakthrough story that we'll be following here on the Racing Insiders. Coming up on the show this week, we've still got a lot more. We've got Johnny O'Connell, the 2012 Pirelli World Challenge winner, what he's going to be doing at Road America this weekend. We'll hear directly from him. We've got some results from the Grand Am round at Mid-Ohio, a lot of video, good action, and we've got secret stories that no one knows about except you. But you've got to stick around to hear it. This is the Racing Insiders on MAVTV. We'll be right back.
This segment of the Racing Insiders was brought to you by GoRacingTV.com. For racers, by racers.
It's always a pleasure to talk to Johnny O'Connell, one of the most accomplished road racers in the United States. 4 wins at Le Mans, 8 wins at Sebring, 1 overall, 7 class wins, Sebring Hall of Fame. His last win came in the Pirelli World Challenge. He's the defending champion in the Pirelli World Challenge. We could go on and on with this guy's resume. Johnny, congratulations on the win at Detroit.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was a good time. Good one to get any time that you can, be showing off to your bosses outside their office. That's a good thing. I mean, when the president and the GM is there, you always want to do well, and and everybody on Cadillac Racing did a great job that weekend.
And that has to do with getting the money for next year, I would imagine, so you could be the 2013 and 2014 champion.
Well, how nice would that be? I mean, we've got some work cut out for us. Actually, I had a win get away from me at Long Beach. Pretty heartbreaking. Actually, I was leading behind the pace car, and on the last lap, my car died. And then we had a similar deal at the Circuit of the Americas. We won the first race, and the second race we were leading and had an extremely rare mechanical failure in the suspension. So. Those are 2 wins that had I had them, we'd be leading the championship. But there's nothing more fun than fighting back from behind.
Jim, get in there. You've got some news coming up for this weekend.
So we got the news that you're going to be with JR Motorsports, and here's what's puzzling to me, and we got some tweets about this. You have Ron Fellows, you got Boris Said, even Andy Lally. These guys are getting these seats. You haven't had the nod here in the last few years, but to us, you're on this show, you're one of the best road racers of that bunch. Why is it that now you get called up to go do this nationwide race?
Well, you know what? I got to tell you, it's blown me away that those guys never called. For the longest time I figured, okay, well, I'm racing for Nissan, but for the past 13 years I've been a GM guy. I have not made many calls, to be honest with you, to pursue it, and I think that's something that those guys may have done.
So are you thinking you're going to be on the pole and check out, or what are your performance expectations?
How nice would that be to just like your first time, like be sayonara suckers, and then like be 1 for 1, win it. I if I win, I'm retiring. I will never do another NASCAR race, and then I will get into the NASCAR Hall of Fame as having the best win percentage in their history.
One more question before Peter jumps in. Are you going to let Villeneuve muscle you if he's in this race?
No one's going to muscle me.
Good answer. The good answer, Peter.
Question is, I happen to know a good friend of yours, Andy Slacker, that I met through SCCA Club Racing or whatever. I know he works for Ford or whatever, but he always sings your praises. So do you think he had any help in getting you that NASCAR ride?
Oh, no, probably not. If it was Slank, he'd probably throw me under the bus. It was so funny. He and I started out together as doing the Jim Russell Mechanics Training Program. We were both, like, unbelievably poor. And like we'd steal our toilet paper from Riverside International Raceway, and we learned what bars gave you free food if you got a 75-cent beer. Such a talented engineer, and he was a good race car driver. He wrote his car off when we were doing Formula Mazda at Sears Point one year because he asked me if I was flat in turn 10, and I was like, yeah, I'm flat in turn 10.
Yeah, go with it.
And then, because that's what a man does. And then, but then, like we get 2 laps into the session, and there's red flag, and it's Slank because he flipped and destroyed his car in turn 10. He tried to blame me for it. He's like, dude, I thought you said it was flat, and I was like, it is for me.
Johnny O'Connell. There you go. That's why you love talking to the guy, because he's got all of those stories from years and years worth of experience, wins at Le Mans, Sebring Hall of Fame. Johnny, it's good to have you on the Racing Insiders. Good to talk to you again.
Thank you, guys.
There's still a lot more ahead on the Racing Insiders. You still haven't heard from the Grand Am results at Mid-Ohio. Some background, some inside information, but what would you expect from the Racing Insiders on MAVTV? We'll be right back.
This segment was brought to you by the Sports Car Club of America.
Welcome back to the Racing Insiders. I'm Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keene is in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. But Peter is our resident guy in Grand Am. He's intimately involved at Spirit of Daytona and what happened in the race at Mid-Ohio. Peter, give us the inside.
Well, essentially, it was a tough weekend for Spirit of Daytona. We finished 9th. I want to send out congratulations to the Action Express guys. They did a great job. That car was fast all weekend, and they came away with the win that they deserved. The other thing is, I feel really bad for poor Michael Schenck. I mean, he loses another car in this race. Jakob continues to act like a ding-a-ling and, ends up burning the car down. That's just terrible. And then one other thing is the GT race. What a battle between Oberlin and Curran there at the end. And, man, that was just hard racing. And if you hear the in-car radio, Curran's up. He's like, man, I just got into him. I didn't mean to do it. He also says an expletive. But, talk about it. What a GT battle. Jim?
Yeah, well, the GT race in and of itself was weird. The Camaro, John Edwards, and Liddell, and then Jeff Siegel and Max Pappas, they had the run. They come together on pit lane on their last pit stop, and both of them get flats. Before that, you had a great battle with the Corvette Whelan, Eric Kern, against Oberlin, and he's faster than Oberlin. Oberlin's holding up everywhere.
Did you hear what he said, that Oberlin was holding up Eric Curran? I bet Oberlin would have a different understanding of that. Bill Oberlin, Eric Curran, that was a great race. A lot was going on there. He got his nose in there, and I agree with you, Jim. You have to wonder, was it a racing incident or something else was going on? That's the Grand Am race at Mid-Ohio, a great race, especially in the GT battle. That that GT race a lot of times is more interesting than the Daytona prototypes. I know Peter doesn't always agree with that, but that GT race is close, and there's a lot of guys that have a chance to win. Grand Am, Rolex Series, a lot of racing. Still more coming up on the Racing Insiders. We're not finished yet. If you don't stick around, that's your fault. Racing Insiders on MAVTV. We'll be right back. Still more coming up on the Racing Insiders. Peter, how about you this week? What's coming up for you?
Hey, I'm just going to kick back, Bill, and watch Le Mans. I mean, hopefully Westbrook and Garcia can get it done, and also pull for Ricky Taylor. He's in another non-factory Corvette, but it's Le Mans this weekend for me.
Peter,
Jim?
before we go to Jim, do you ever get the chance to, in your mind, since you're so used to spotting for them, you spot for them when you watch them on TV?
No, I'm relaxing. At least Westbrook's not yelling at me. That's one good thing.
Jim, what about you this weekend?
Well, I can't resist spotting whether I know them or not, so it's just in my blood. But I'm going to be watching that same race. We've got a lot of notables that we follow on this show that are going to be there. And I'm also going to be watching that nationwide race from Road America. We got a lot of road race standouts that are friendly to us from the various series that we cover. It's always fun to see them go there. And, of course, we're going to be rooting for Johnny O'Connell to get one for us old road racing guys. Bill?
We've got a lot going on this weekend. We've got Formula Drift at the Wall Speedway in New Jersey. We've got the WRC at Sardinia. And, of course, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. A busy weekend. We'll have a lot of it on MAVTV, the Racing Insiders, next week. Come and join us. Want to hear from you. Facebook, Twitter. Come join us. Join the conversation. This is Bill Wood in Los Angeles. Peter Keene is in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And Jim Daniels is in Memphis, Tennessee. Love to hear from you. Take care of each other. Respect each other this week. Come on back next week. Peace.